Atkinson with Emilia Bona. Before we get stuck into the Reds, very, very quickly, friend of the show, Jordan Jarrett Bryan, has got a show on TalkSport tonight. He's tweeted this: South London has always had the source, but now it's football. In fact, it's about the South London talent factory. He's talking to loads of people: Ian Wright, Clinton Morrison, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Wilf Zaha, Arsene Wenger, about South London football. I think it'll be well worth a listen tonight, 9 o'clock on TalkSport. South London has the source, so does South Wales. Emilia Bona. Let's have a lovely big chat about Virgil van Dijk and touchline bust-ups. I love a touchline bust-up in that it's the most immediate thing that happens after you've just played a game of football that's not gone particularly well, is that you have murder with people and then it gets taken out of all proportion, like Henderson last season when he didn't shake Klopp's hand, and now this is supposedly some sort of big bust-up, and Van Dijk said it's absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and it's also, I think, him breaking his silence on it is him kind of saying what we all assume, which is them both just having a word with each other, him saying it's nothing to worry about, which I know he'd always have to say, but I think when you read the quotes, it's just a bit... It's very much something and nothing. It's after one goal, isn't it? They have a bit of a word with each other. It's a goal that isn't his fault as such, and it's not a bust up. It's not even a spat. It's just them having some frank words with each other and then moving on because this is a professional sport.
Yeah, I think there's something that gets missed in this. When you're in the ground, Klopp shouts and screams at all of them all the time, and sometimes they turn around and tell him no.
Yeah,
it happens. I've seen Milner do it 3 or 4 times. Milner has basically just gone back at him and gone no, and then explain why. And Klopp's left throwing his hands around a little bit and all of this sort of stuff. But this is, we act as though that footballers always do literally what managers want at all times, or are always in full agreement, whereas that's just not realistic. They're the ones who are playing the game, and they're the ones, if they're senior players certainly, who will have their view. Yeah,
and I think, as you say, you see a lot of them do it, but especially Van Dijk, not just to the manager, to the other lads on the pitch, is not backwards and coming forwards. He's very open and quite to the point, and you see him barking orders at people and being very clear about what he thinks is and isn't right. And I just think it's very much one of them. But yeah, for Van Dijk to be kind of shouting back at him and to be kind of making his mindset clear isn't it's in no way surprising. He's doing it all the time. I think the reason maybe that we're all paying a little bit more attention to it is because the pre-season hasn't been what we would like it to be by any stretch. So we're all going, oh, is there trouble in paradise? Is all not well heading into the season? And the answer is, no, it's all fine. It's just that they've done what they do pretty much every game of the season. They've had a bit of a shout at each other because things aren't going to plan, then all moved on.
Yeah, I think that's the case. He's talked about the Community Shield, and what he says that's really, really fair is that effectively they won't beat Manchester City if they play like they did against Napoli. I think that's an understatement. If they play like they did against Napoli, Man City will beat them 6-0. So let's be very crystal clear on that one. Without even playing well, Man City would beat them 6-0 because they were terrible against Napoli, and there's no sugarcoating it. We've done a couple of shows about it. We did an immediate post-match show, and those players who start that game for an hour, they're just not very good, and everything that can go wrong does.
Yeah, and I mean, I do love optimism, and I'm always willing to kind of not flap if possible. I don't think we need to flap. I just think that it's obviously been disappointing. Napoli was shit. It was just rubbish to watch. I'm not worried in terms of the start of the season because we're not firing on all cylinders. We've not got all the lads that we'd like to have there. Whether that will also be the case on Sunday, again, there's kind of a question mark over some of them more than others. But yeah, if we play like that on Sunday, it's going to be awful. And it shouldn't matter, but it really, really does, because it's not just the Community Shield. It's kind of what it says about the season going forward. It's what it says about last season. I just think mentally, there could be nothing worse than getting battered by City on Sunday, going into the next season and going, well, there we are, that's where we're at.
I think both sides, the Community Shield will need to have positives to take out of it at the end. And I think that Manchester City will feel the same. Manchester City haven't had the best pre-season either from the look of it, and they haven't been able to really get settled. They've only played 4 games. But I think what neither manager will want is that one side loses 3-4-0 and you come out of it feeling demoralised. I think that goes for both of them really, and you want to be able to say after the match, if it's 3-2 to either side, both managers will be able to come out afterwards and say, well, we've still got stuff to work on, but we did this and this well. And I think that's what both managers will ask for right now.
Yeah, I think in my head, at least I'm trying to anyway, see the pre-season tour and the Community Shield as existing in 2 completely different worlds, both in terms of who's available to play, the kind of the mindset that they go into them with. Van Dijk himself said, our season starts properly on Sunday, and that's how he's seeing it. I'm sure that's how the manager's seeing it. And it's not that the pre-season doesn't matter, because obviously it does, but the pre-season is about so much more than how we go out and perform against a side that we beat in the European Cup and then won the European Cup. It's about engaging that fan base and kind of getting to do that in America. And it would be nice if we'd then won all of the matches and had been really good and shown everyone how brilliant we are, but we fucking did that in the European Cup. So do you know what I mean? It doesn't really
matter.
It's out the way. Yeah, and I just, in my head, that's a nice little tour that they've gone on, which hasn't been that great. And everything starts properly on Sunday. They're two different things.
Everything does start properly on Sunday. Ben Woodburn has gone to Oxford United on loan, which League One side, Oxford United, lovely ground, by the way. Would recommend it highly, and Oxford is a great night out. Maybe that's why Ben's gone. It'd be why I'd go. You've got some clubs in for you, Neil. Oh, Oxford's on the list. Oh, excellent. Consider me in. It's now we're reaching that point. Curtis Jones and Nat Phillips have gone to train with the under-23s rather than go to the camp in Evian. Emilia, we're at that point, aren't we, where there's this almost natural selection process as to who is or isn't going to be part of this first team squad in the early part of the season. Woodburn is the first step in this. Yeah. I suspect Jones and Phillips will probably end up getting loan moves as well.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, like the pre-season is, as much as you spend a lot of it talking about the lads who aren't available, that are obviously your first team choices, it's about kind of sounding that out and kind of working out going into the new season who's going to be where. And I'm not going to profess to know loads about Woodburn or about those lads because I'm not going to lie, I'm not an expert on it. But I guess that's kind of what this part of the pre-season is about, kind of sounding out who's going to be where and who we're going to get to see maybe for just a couple of minutes. Yeah, and some lads have kind of been marked off that list.
I think so, and I think it's one to with Jones. I always feel sorry for Jones. I think it's going to be difficult for him to get him because I think he's a good player. I think he's a really good player, but I think Liverpool have firstly got so many midfielders. It's going to be difficult to break in, and from there sort of working out, I think he's the sort of player who plays well with other good players. So where he gets his loan, I think is going to be difficult. I think he needs to be on the better side. Other little bits that are coming out over the last couple of days is again, there's people are murmurings around, do Liverpool need to improve? Liverpool need to strengthen? We've been doing lots of shows on that. There's a transfer video show today. There's the gutter that we did yesterday, and the Anfield wrap itself. And Emilia, we're getting closer and closer to the end of the window. The one thing I will point out is it's not as though other sides are doing a great deal. City have bought one major first team player. United, I came back from tour and I had a conversation with someone and I was acting like Harry Maguire played for Man United, and they were like, he's not gone, mate. I was like, no, surely that got sorted out whilst we were away. I've not been on top of all the detail. But you keep thinking because there's so much noise about transfers everywhere that actually haven't been that many. No. Neymar's still at Paris Saint-Germain. Everyone's banging on about transfers and actually there's not been many.
Yeah, and obviously we're also insular in kind of what we care about and what we look at, that we're all focused on activity or lack of at Liverpool. But I'm sure that the lads are doing that at every other club and kind of thinking, you know, is anything going to happen? Why is nothing happening? And again, as much as I'm a blind optimist, it's not something that worries me that much. And looking at the pre-season, maybe for some people it is a worry. It just isn't one for me at all. I think we've got a great squad. We still have a great squad. There's no one that's gone where I've thought, oh God, that needs replacing. And also, I know that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain kind of was coming back at the end of last season, but it is almost like having a new player going into the start of the season, that he kind of, if he's fit and ready and kind of be starting games. And I know, again, that was the case towards the end of the season, but for me, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain being back consistently in like the starting 11 every single week, that kind of feels to me like a new signing. So I get to see him all over again and get to be dead excited again. And every time we've seen him, I've thought he looks great. So there's that. And I know that there's a while for kind of some of the other lads to maybe be coming back, but it's just not something that bothers me at all. And as you say, it's not like you're looking at City or looking at other rivals and going, oh, good God, look at who they've bought and why have we not done anything that compares to that? Because that just isn't the case.
Yeah. I mean, I like Wan-Bissaka. I think he's a really good player, but we've got Alexander-Arnold. United have bought a right back. You know, they've got him in. They've got that sorted out, but I'm not sort of looking at that going, oh God, how are we all going to cope? What are we going to do next? And as I say, they still haven't secured Maguire. You're going through all of these and you just end up a little bit like, Tottenham did Ndombele. 60 million looks really good. We're happy with our midfield options, but they've done Ndombele, fair play to them, but where's the next one? Who is the next one? And, Arsenal have now done a couple of little bits, but Pepe could be really good for them, but they had a huge defensive problem. They haven't done anything about it. I think it's really strange. I think it's been a really strange window. And I think it's one which I don't think anybody quite knows what footballers are worth anymore. There's a lot of people trying to pull maths and do equations. Go, is Harry Maguire worth 80 million quid as an example? That does not feel steep, but you can understand why United are worried about it. Everton won't pay the money for Zaha. Again, another example, and you're going to get into all of these where everyone's a bit like, I don't know. Yeah,
you get absolutely no indication from what's gone before that there's going to be like some last minute kind of up the sleeve photo of Van Dijk in front of a tree style thing where they're like, we've had this all along, and just that it's just not going to happen. So I think rather than kind of wrecking your head about it, we can all just chill out. This is where we're at, and it's a very good place to be. There's a lot of teams that would love to be where we're at with kind of no signings of note in this window, and I just think, I'm not worried at all.
We're not worried. We're quite relaxed. I'm looking forward to the new season. I can't wait for Norwich.
I'm very excited. I can't wait.
Norwich Friday night will be at the absolute business that is to come. So we did all that sort of stuff. We've got the review show coming today where we're going to look back at a couple of games and basically talk about what Liverpool did wrong. We've also got 50% off at theanfieldwrap.com/shop for you as well. I mentioned the Jordan Jarrett Bryan thing earlier on. Give that a listen if you can. If you like it, let Jordan know. That's about everything really. You've got gutters, you know how to subscribe. We can all do this together. We're all in this together. We'll see you soon.